Hello there, I'm Jimmy Vegas and this is the Ultimate Unity tutorial for beginners and welcome to episode 21. This tutorial we're going to carry on exactly where we left off last time and deal a little bit more with Navmesh, and we're also going to do some more with some AI and attacking our skeleton. Don't forget, click the subscribe button, click the bell icon as well to stay up to date with every tutorial I upload for this series and indeed everything else on my channel. With that in mind, let's get to work. So last time we did all this Navmesh, which is all this blue right here. And I did explain that some areas are walkable, some aren't, and we can always see the walkable areas by the blue. However, it doesn't kind of do everything all together. We can see this house here. It did kind of realize that there is something there, so it isn't traversable. We cannot walk on it, which, okay, fair enough. However, this wall is a little different. What we need to do in cases like this is select the object, and over here in the navigation menu click on object, navigation static. Let's click on off mesh links as well and make sure the navigation area is not walkable, so select that middle one right there. Then go to bake and click on bake. It'll think about it for just a second, but then you'll see just after this is done what it needs to do. You'll see that all the way around here is a non-walkable area. As I said, the blue is walkable, everything else isn't. So our skeleton can only walk up to here. And you can do this selecting multiple objects as well. So let's take this wall. Let's take the fences here. Make sure on object, we have them right here. Clicked and not walkable. Click on bake and click bake. So that just makes it completely non-walkable. So if we were to come all the way over here to our skeleton, come all the way back, he wouldn't be able to come through this wall. He would have to find another route. As we can see, it blocks him there. Speaking of our skeleton, we need to modify him a little bit. At present, when he attacks us, he kind of carries on sliding towards us, but then when he's finished, he goes back to the idle position. So in this, we now need to change a couple of things. We need to stop the Navmesh agent and the navigation AI from working while he's attacking, then turn them back on, and make sure when we turn them back on, he goes to walking. So we need to open up the skeleton AI, which was this little script here. So at the very top, I've already gone ahead and done it during my testing of this, but we need to have the namespace using unityengine.ai. So make sure that's in the namespace section at the top. The reason we have that is so we can deal with Navmesh. So let's have the skeleton.getComponent and in spiky brackets, navigation AI, or whatever you've called your script, open close bracket, .enabled equals false. That'll turn the AI script off while he's attacking. And then same with that one, skeleton.getComponent, nav mesh agent, open close bracket, .enabled equals false, semicolon. Take those two lines of code, place them in the onTriggerExit method, change to true for both of them, and then change the animation to walk or whatever you have as your walking animation name. Save the script and let's head back to Unity. Let's press play and make sure that the skeleton does exactly what he's supposed to at this point. So he comes towards us and he should stop and attack, and he does. And now he should carry on walking towards us. Perfect. So we're dealing a little bit more with AI every time. As I said, this isn't going to be the last of it. It's going to be something we need to refine over the course of time as we learn more and more things. For now, though, we need to find a way of inflicting damage upon the skeleton. And that involves creating a script which works with the weapon control. When we pick up our axe, we need to be able to, like I say, inflict that damage, hurt the enemy. So in a script folder, let's right click, create C# script, inflict damage, and open up in Visual Studio. So we'll need a couple of variables for this, but we don't need void start or any annotations. They can go. First variable is going to be the amount of damage we deal. The second component is going to be the distance of how far away our enemy is. And the third one is going to be an allowed range, i.e. how far away can we be before we actually deal damage. So let's start with public int damage amount semicolon. The next one, like I say, is the distance, which is the target distance. So float target distance semicolon. And the final one is the allowed range. Again, that will be a float, if indeed you want it to be a float. Allowed range. And we'll make this equal to 3.1f, just to be on the safe side, but we could modify this at a later point. So what we need to do here is we need to make sure that when we press the fire 1 button, which is the clicking, so it works the same way as axe swing. If you remember here, we need to be able to say, are we swinging? And if we're pressing this, then yeah. So what we need to do as well is reference this particular script. So bear with me on this one. We need to have in update if, and in brackets, axe swing dot holding axe equals true, which it will be when we're holding the axe. Then at this point, what we need to do is say if input.get button down and is swinging is false, then we take that line as well. Place that into inflict damage. So it's the same sort of thing, but at this point we do need to have the is swinging as well. So is swinging helps if I actually state it as a variable, doesn't it? Public float, it's not a float, it's a bool, obviously, is swinging. By default, that will be false, semicolon. So we don't need that start coroutine, that can go, but we are swinging. So I know that sounds utterly ridiculous and a bit, hey, never mind. So is swinging equals true, so that means we can't actually swing again until we say so. Now we could also change this, I guess, maybe to maybe on here. We may look at doing that at a later date, but it's fine as it is for now. So what we need to do here is have a raycast hit, and we'll call this hit semicolon, so it's kind of keeping in line. And what we need to do is basically do a raycast again, same as we've done before. So if physics dot raycast and transform dot position. So again, it's basically the same as what we've done before with the raycast. Transform, if I can actually spell it right, transform dot transform direction, and in brackets it is a vector 3 dot forward, close that bracket, comma, out, hit, close bracket, open curly bracket. And in here we need to say target distance is equal to hit dot distance semicolon. And now what we need to say is, are we within that allowed range? That's where it comes in handy to say, are we actually lower than that allowed range to our enemy? So if, in brackets, target distance is less than or equal, because it could be equal, it could absolutely be equal, allowed range, then do the following. Hit dot transform dot send message. So what we're doing here is we're sending a message to another script that is attached to the object we're firing at, and from there we are actually allowing it to execute a method, which we'll write in just a second. So we need that message to be, open bracket, quote, we'll call it deduct points. So that'll be the method name that we use. And then the variable that we will define, in this case, it is damage amount. And at this point at the top, we will declare damage amount as, let's say, 5 for now. And comma, because we don't need to receive anything back from that script, we can have send message options dot don't require receiver. And that is pretty much it. Semicolon. So you can see the process of what's actually happening here. It is saying, basically, if we're attacking, if we have the axe, we're attacking, we're not swinging, then we can do the following. We can do all that. At this point, we may need a coroutine to re-enable the is swinging. Like I said, we could possibly actually relate it to the axe swing because it kind of does it here anyway. So what I think we might do now is get rid of is swinging in inflict damage and change this is swinging to a static, which means we'll reference it. So change that to static and save the is swinging, make sure static. Back to inflict damage, get rid of that variable called is swinging. And we can get rid of it there too. And we will have right here, change to axe swing dot is swinging equals false and save our script. So remember, if you've got a problem, this script will be on the website. You can head over there, download some assets, get it from there. So let's head back into Unity. So the axe object right here, I'm going to double click. Why is it hanging there? Oh, that's because our player's there. That's why, Jimmy. So our player is right there. Our axe is there. So I'm going to attach a new game object to our FPS controller. In fact, probably the first person character. That would be the better option, I think. Create empty and drag it forward, probably to about there. So it's in front of our character. So we're going to attach that inflict damage to that game object. Right click, rename, and let's call it inflict the damage. We don't need to set any variables, they're already set there, no problem. What we do need to do is press play and quickly test this out and just make sure the variables do change. So let's head all the way back over here and pick up our axe all the way through our forest. So we take the axe and you can see there every time we hit, you see the target distance changes. That means everything is now working as intended. It means that we can attach a script to our enemy, which will then receive the message that we sent. So it will deduct points from its health. Now, to make things a bit simple, all I'm going to do when our enemy dies is just make him disappear. But we will deal with death animation and all kinds of different things later on. I just want to kind of get the main principle in place ready. So let's go to our enemies folder in the script section down here. Right click, create C# script. And this will be basically to the enemy health. So we'll call it skeleton with 1k. Skeleton enemy. So this is relative just to the skeleton enemy. So let's open up that script. We'll get rid of void start and any annotations because we don't need them. One variable will be the enemy health. So public int enemy health. We'll make it 10, so it's 2 hits to make him die. Semicolon. Now this is where we create the method that we named deduct points in the other script. Make sure we call this method the same as what you've put here. So void and deduct points, and in brackets we need to put the name of the variable that we stated here in inflict damage, which in this case is damage amount, because that's what we're dealing with when we send the message. So int damage amount, close bracket, open curly bracket, and within here we need to say enemy health minus equals damage amount, semicolon. In void update, what we'll do is we'll have a quick if statement to say if our enemy health is less than or equal to 0, for now he'll just disappear, but we'll work with that at a later date like I've said. So if, in brackets, enemy health is less than or equal to 0, then we do the following. This dot game object dot set active false, just so we can see it working. So save that script and head back into Unity, and then attach that skeleton enemy script straight onto the skeleton. So drag and drop. Now what we need to do is I'm going to modify what we already have with our skeleton and his obstacle avoidance right here. So I'm going to decrease it a little. So we'll have radius as 0.3 maybe. And that looks okay. So it kind of covers him. Next, what we need to do is add a collider to our skeleton. So down here, add component and search for, in this case, we'll just do a nice simple box collider. Click box collider. It's pretty huge, but let's reduce the size down here. So size, let's have 0.1, 0.1, 0.1. We can see it's a little box there. So we need to raise it up and increase the size. So let's have that as 0.13, in fact 0.17. Let's bring the center probably to maybe about there. Just need to decrease it a little. I think 1.7 is too much. So let's have 1.5. That looks okay. And then let's decrease the size around him just a little more. So 0.7 and 0.07. Okay, so we can see now around our skeleton we have a couple of things. So the inner one is for the Navmesh, the outer one is for attacking him. So his collider is roughly in line with him, but you can take the time to kind of refine it as much as you need to. So let's save our scene, and at this point I think we're ready to attack our skeleton. So let's press play. Let's head all the way back through the forest, pick up the axe, and then we'll attack him to see it all in action. Hopefully this works first time. So let's head to our skeleton. He'll more than likely attack us, but if we attack him... not quite. So let's take a look at our inflict the damage script. So something has gone a little bit astray here. We can see that although it should be working, it isn't. So a good way of actually debugging this to make sure everything is working as intended is if we go to our inflict damage and let's have public bool is attacked semicolon. By default we'll make that false. And if we have, so that'll be true. So it's all true up until this point here, because we can see that target distance does become the hit distance, but this doesn't appear to be working as intended. So what we'll do is inside here, we'll say is attacked equals true, semicolon, and save. So what this will mean for us is if it's actually connecting with him, this will turn on. We'll be able to see the fact that it does turn on and it becomes true. If not, we can see that that is causing a little bit of a problem. So let's take the axe. Let's go to our skeleton and let's attack him. Okay, so it is working. It is absolutely working. So that means that this here is not working as intended. So we now have to trace this back. So hit.transform.sendMessage deduct points, okay, which is indeed deduct points, but enemy health is not coming off from damage amount. So what we'll do is in our inflict damage, we can now get rid of that is attacked equals true. Get rid of that one. Save the script. Head to our skeleton enemy. And on here, let's have public bool is attacked equals false. And here on deduct point, oh, that's why. I've just spotted it, guys. I put deduct point, not deduct points. If you spotted that before I did, well done. You earn a gold medal. So one more time. Everything saved. Head back to Unity. Let's press play and let's watch our skeleton lose some health. Where's our axe gone? I've lost it. No good at traversing woods and forests. Okay. I'm coming for you, skeleton. I'm going to get you. So, let's attack. There we go. So he's now been hit. So that is the mechanics of how we can get ourselves to attack an enemy. It was a little bit long-winded, but we will get there. We'll refine everything that we've done. But as I say, these are the basic mechanics, and you can work with these and develop what you need to. So next tutorial, we'll work on getting hurt and health. So when the skeleton attacks us, we'll lose health. So until then, guys, thank you very much for watching.